Alright, welcome to the Linebirds, episode 3, Linebird Show, episode 3, part 3. Oh man, we haven't introduced ourselves at all. That's unfortunate. I guess we won't. But, so our last topic, my topic again. First topic was mine, second topic was Steven. This is my topic again. And I did have a different idea for a topic, but Steven brought the holiday games, which is very pertinent to right now, because of Overwatch.
Perfect.
But last topic of discussion, something that Steven and I have been mulling over for a few days now.
I thought something was wrong with the game, but then I realized you are pulling a trailer, so it's interesting that your rearview mirror doesn't actually show what's behind you. Up top of the screen.
Right.
I was
looked
like,
away.
Is it bugged out?
I looked away, and I just assuming that there was a friggin' road right there to turn on. I was actually looking at what you were talking about, so that's why I ended up in that tree right there.
Anyways, your topic.
Yeah, so my final topic of discussion for Linebird Show is going to be the Hyrule chronology, the Zelda chronology. How all of the Zelda games have recently, anyway, been proven or told, I guess, by Nintendo that they all tie in.
Well, recently, as in like 4 years ago.
Yeah, around the same time that Skyward Sword came out, whenever that was.
Yeah, I think it was like 2011, but Hyrule Historia came out, I believe, after that. But
yeah,
not
it
too
did.
far.
It was close though. That's my meaning.
Mm-hmm.
What my thinking is on the Hyrule Historia is that Skyward Sword, and this is totally just my own pontification. I don't really have any reason to believe this outside of just what I know. But my thinking is that Skyward Sword is the first Zelda game to be designed with the Historia in mind. Even though Historia wasn't around yet, it was at least. I mean, it was in discussion. It was in conversation. They were probably making it while they were making Skyward Sword because they came out so close together.
I completely agree with
it. It was probably being written. So Skyward Sword was probably the first Legend of Zelda game with the meta narrative in mind. Meta narrative is an overarching story, a story that exists over multiple stories. So each Zelda game has its own nuclear story, telling something about Zelda and Link and Ganondorf. But the meta narrative is the cord that ties all of those things together.
Yeah.
And so the Hyrule chronology, Skyward Sword, is the first game, I think. Again, just based on what I know, I'm not making a claim about Nintendo, but is the first one where the meta narrative was in mind. They made it intentionally to.
It's so realistic. When I drive, the paint just appears in front of me as I'm driving down the road.
It was the first game to officially set in stone how Hyrule and the Triforce and all that came about, or not the Triforce so much, but the Master Sword came about.
Well, yeah, I guess we should probably issue a spoiler alert. I don't know if people actually don't know or even care if they know now, but yeah, that's where you learn about. It actually offers a legitimate explanation for why these games are happening, and we're seeing the same princess, the same villain, the same hero, with the same basic scenario, with some plot changes here and there depending on certain things. But anyway, same three main characters involved with each other over and over again.
Right.
And same locations usually, which, it's all very, very intriguing. And yeah, Skyward Sword establishes that.
It does.
It's the first game that really gave any answers whatsoever as to why that's happening. And then the Hyrule Historia came out, which showed us how, now that we know this is what's happening in these games, the Hyrule Historia actually puts it in a specific order, each game. And so I think they're going to release a revised edition where the Breath of the Wild and Link Between Worlds will be listed in their proper place.
That'll be super interesting to see, because they didn't only bring out a timeline with the games in order. They explained the lore between those games.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
They explain.
They show it on the line, like the Sealing Wars and the flooding of Hyrule and stuff over before. Because when you start Wind Waker, it's just like, well, yeah, this is Hyrule was flooded, and it's like,
what the hell happened? Yeah, so they do explain the lore between the games, and I don't know if you know this or if many people know this, but some of the lore has been amended from earlier games, like to make it fit within their current timeline. Like, what is it in one of the re-releases on DS, I think, of one of the original games. I can't remember which one it was. They took out the word wise men and put in sage. to fit with the sages from Ocarina of Time. So they've kind of done a little amending, bandaging up some of their old lore to make it fit with the current lore that has been forced on them by fans.
And it's awesome. It works
yeah.
very well.
It does.
I mean, I loved Zelda before just because the games were fun.
Oh, each one is like
amazing.
It's
just amazing.
Each one is a perfect adventure game.
Man, and just being, I guess over time I've grown into this just like lore thirsty fool. Like the reason I love Dark Souls isn't because of the difficulty and stuff for some people. I love it because of the lore, man. And like the replay value for me is because I want to experience the different endings and stuff. Or the reason I love The Witcher or any of that stuff. I like the lore of it, man.
Right.
And so the fact that they brought all these games together and connected it. This is like one of my favorite series of all time. I've played like 80% of the games. Finished probably like 3/4 of them. I don't know. I don't have an accurate like fractions for these things, but
so you're missing 14% is what you're saying.
Yeah, 3/15. And so no,
that's not an accurate fraction.
That's an inaccurate fraction. It's a vested fraction. Sweater. I made that joke last episode.
So yeah, what Nintendo has done since they've released all these games just short of being revolutionary. Just short of being revolutionary. Like they've totally. When Zelda came out, it was a game that was just mechanically perfect for its time. It came out on the NES, the original Legend of Zelda, and they weren't focused on story. They were focused on a game that worked really well and was fun to play. With just a very basic adventure, save the princess. You know what I mean? In a high fantasy setting. And it's been through its insane amount of love and appreciation, which is why I said what I said before, that they've come out with the Historia and they've started bringing in all these tethers between games. That none of that was intended from Miyamoto at the game's inception, and even a long way through its existence. Like it wasn't until Twilight Princess era that they even acknowledged that there was an official timeline and that it broke off at Ocarina of Time. They did say that like some games were sequels to others, but we're talking about as a whole, at its entirety. These were more akin in the early days to what Final Fantasy is, which is a series of unconnected legends.
Right.
You know what I mean? Fantastic tales.
With very rarely there being sequels like 10-2 and stuff like that.
Like Spirit Tracks and those like that one is kind of an enigma. It has 3 that are in succession.
Yeah.
The Wind Waker series.
But I mean, if you look at the original games, actually ended up mostly being even because A Link to the Past and Link's Awakening were connected even back then.
Right.
Because he's at sea and he gets lost, but then they inserted A Link Between Worlds like just randomly in the middle of all that.
So that's since I don't have the Historia, and since it's not in the Historia, what I really mean, and I never played the game. What tie-in does that have with the original games? I know it exists on the same like hero dies timeline. Like the hero fails and gets killed by Ganon. You have A Link Between Worlds. You have Link to the Past. You have Link's Awakening. You have The Legend of Zelda and The Adventures of Link. Those are the games that you have.
And Oracles.
Yeah, and the Oracle games. It's actually the longest, which is interesting. It's the longest timeline, and it's the one that it seems most viable. Ooh, shit! I don't need to be doing this. This is a story mission, which seems most viable for the new game.
Right. Yeah. It's the most fleshed out timeline, experienced, or whatever timeline they have at the moment.
Right. The one that we know best.
The other ones only have, I think, 3 games each. I want to say. Because you have Skyward Sword, Minish Cap, Ocarina, and 4 Swords, and then you have Wind Waker, Spirit Tracks, Phantom Hourglass, not in that order necessarily. Twilight Princess, Majora's Mask, Twilight Princess.
I'm going to overlay a timeline on this so people can see it.
Yeah, because I'm just kind of like talking on my ass right now. But
I feel like I know it at this point. Let me see if I can recite it.
Well, yeah.
For the fun of it.
And I completely left out Ocarina where it splits. But yeah. Skyward Sword, Minish Cap, 4 Swords, Ocarina, then it splits, and then you have Wind Waker, Phantom Hourglass, and Spirit Tracks.
That's right.
Then you have Majora's Mask, Twilight Princess, and Four Swords Adventures.
That's right.
And then, and this is where it gets crazy. I'm pretty sure it's Link to the Past.
Link to the Past. That's right.
And then the Oracles of Ages and Seasons, which could go in any order. It doesn't necessarily matter. But the true canonical ending is to have both, and then link up the Game Boys and summon Ganon with Twin Robo. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. And then Link's Awakening.
Link's Awakening, A Link Between Worlds. I think I can't remember.
That seems about right.
And then
I still may have it. I still
Legend
may
of
have that picture on my phone.
Yeah, and The Adventures of Link.
That's right.
Yeah. And I played most of those. I've beaten most of those. I want to say I've beaten. I think how many games is it? Like 16 or 17.
16 or 17. Yeah, that's it.
And I haven't. Thanks for the affirmation there. I think I've played most of them, but I haven't beaten like 4 or 5.
Link Between Worlds takes place between Link's Awakening and The Legend of Zelda.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, the way I recited it was.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
This is gonna be really interesting to watch as we speculate.
Yeah, it will be. So that is currently the longest timeline going on, and it seems like the only So actually, they've all been left open ended. They've all been, and well, I take that back. This one seems like the one that is tied up the best. Like that the one that seems like it's supposed to end. The child era, which is Majora's Mask, Twilight Princess, and Four Swords, it should have been over with Twilight Princess because Ganon gets killed. Like, he has a Master Sword shoved through him at the end. Like, he gets killed. But then, with the Hyrule Historia, they inserted Four Swords Adventures in there, which is Ganon. So Ganondorf, not humanoid Ganondorf, but Ganon, the big pig man.
Yeah.
And
his demon form.
Right. In the Historia, it's explained that that's the reincarnation, and he doesn't have a recollection of Ganondorf, but it's still the same evil. It's Demise, who's just been Demise being the
reincarnated.
Demise being the antagonist from Skyward Sword. So yeah, Demise being the villain from Skyward Sword. It's just him being reincarnated over and over and over. It's his spirit. But that seemed like the biggest bow right there. But then they put in Four Swords Adventures, and Ganon's back. And then with Wind Waker, Ganon gets a freaking sword shoved through his brain, and it ends there. But then they continue his story.
But he's not dead necessarily. He's frozen. He's in stone, and he's under like 1,000,000 feet of water. I mean, he's at the bottom of an ocean, and he's got a sword in his skull, and he's turned to stone.
I think the logic behind the Master Sword, though, is that since he is impaled by the sword, he can't be reincarnated. I don't know about that. I don't know if it's talked about.
Like, I'm pretty sure that's
my assumption.
Like,
exactly.
The sword in the past has always been the key.
Because every time he gets trapped behind a seal that's just a spell or just magic, he breaks free.
Either he breaks free, or like Agamemnon, or what's his name?
Vati?
No, not Vati, but there's just like Zant or somebody like that summons him or whatever, or breaks him free,
breaks him out, right?
Like especially in the Game Boy games on the.
Look at this! Look at this! Jesus,
what's that?
There's a smokestack.
Tripping.
Turn.
The collisions are impressive in this game. Like, that looked crazy to me. Hitting that car.
Yeah, they feel brutal.
Dude, I really enjoy. I don't know. There's something about the whole screen reacts.
It's the way it feels so violent
in a way that like Grand Theft Auto doesn't have. Like, I think the cars just feel a lot heavier.
Right.
Which is probably accurate.
Yeah, because these are all metal.
Right. Old school.
Right. Yeah. These are metal cars. There's no fiberglass or anything in that sucker.
That's pretty cool.
Anyways. So yeah, the Hyrule Historia is. I mean, they've kind of changed the game when it comes to storytelling. I'm not talking about Mafia. I'm talking about Zelda.
It's very akin to a lot. Well, it reminds me of the Metal Gear timeline.
Okay, so piggybacking on what we were just discussing, I want to talk about where Breath of the Wild is going to be taking place. Because I was talking with a friend a few days ago, and I told him about how the popular theory is that it's going to take place in the Wind Waker timeline. That's the one that I've seen most people discuss. and I think that has more to do with the aesthetic of the game and the fact that it was, besides Skyward Sword, of course, but it was the most recent Zelda timeline that we've been in. But it's also been on record saying that the end of Spirit Tracks is so far from the bloodline of Skyward Sword that history line is open. Like, what they can do with that history line is it's gonna be different from what they've done. That's the implication of what they said. Anyway.
I mean, Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks are two, in my opinion. I've only played each briefly. Two of the worst games they have in that entire series.
Really?
Just because it's so weird. Like, just the I want to use this word because it's kind of negative in my mind, but the gimmicks in those specific games, like the Spirit Tracks and the Hourglass thing.
Do you mean like the game mechanic, like drawing, or do you mean the game setting?
Mixed with like the train thing and the Hourglass. I don't know. I just didn't enjoy it at all. It just didn't feel good, man, to me. And
what is he doing? He's like, you go LSU, whoa, go Saints, whoa. Falcons, bitch.
Cowboys for life. But yeah.
So yeah, that's one really interesting thing. Is that whatever is ahead of Spirit Tracks, and this is a series that can go on. Oh man, in perpetuity. Like, I don't see when Zelda could ever end. How could they possibly end this series? It's not like with Metal Gear where you're following one guy, one person. It's not, or Witcher where you're following one person. It's the game is literally about reincarnation.
Yeah.
I mean, so it could just go on.
Well, I got a feeling because the child storyline intersects with like the previous, like, because there's the Four Swords that takes place before Ocarina,
right,
in the split,
and then Adventure
Four
at the
Swords
bottom.
Adventures is at the right now is the very end of
child timeline,
the childhood timeline. So I'm imagining, I mean, in my mind, I don't want them to, because I feel like it would have to be the end, but I want them to reunite the timelines.
Sure.
It would be so interesting. I don't know, awesome. And I imagine it would have something to do with the Four Swords, because it splits Link's body into four. I don't know.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying.
And mixing that with all the time traveling that's already happening, then maybe.
Yeah, they could unite them somewhere along the way.
But
maybe they'll do that. Like, maybe that'll be Miyamoto's dying wish or something.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, that'll be when he,
like
he's getting ready to move on.
They finally unite the story, and then he dies. Like, that was the thing keeping him alive.
Probably. Cyborg.
He's but the nicest cyborg. He's always got the biggest smile. So let's talk about where Breath of the Wild is going to take place.
Yeah. You had mentioned a lot of people think Wind Waker, which I had thought, because Breath of the Wild, there's all this like wide open, expansive land.
Yeah, it seemed like whenever they were just showing screenshots and brief, like the original gameplay demo, or not gameplay demo, but like gameplay trailer, which was he had a hood on and he's riding Epona. They didn't show anything of importance. It's like, well, this could be the new Hyrule, the Hyrule that's founded by Link and Zelda in Spirit Tracks. I think that's what most people thought. Again, that may have something to do with the cell shaded nature of it. I can't see shit right now. I can't see anything. But that may have something to do with the the cell shaded influence on top of the game. Also the fact that we've played that timeline recently. And there are some things that tie in now that we have gameplay demos, like the freaking forest spirits tree stumps. What are they called? The Koraks?
Koroks or something like that?
Koroks, yeah. The fact that those are in the gameplay demos. The Master Sword looks all rusty and decaying, like it could be
underwater.
Like it could have been underwater for a very long time. But that would have to mean that old Hyrule is somehow salvaged.
And Ganon would be free.
Ganon
is mentioned in one of the gameplay demos.
Calamity Ganon.
Yeah, and well, and then they also show Calamity Ganon like locked up in the castle. But I'm saying there's text that shows that Ganon. They reference Ganon in text, like they say Ganon.
Yeah,
specifically.
So that's the most popular theory. I haven't seen any theories about it taking place on the child timeline.
Yeah, I just don't think it would fit. I mean, I don't really see how.
Twilight Princess Four Swords Adventure or Majora's Mask timeline. I haven't seen any theories regarding that. The most interesting or most credible theory that I've seen. What is that? Is that a truck? The most credible theory I've seen is that it's going to take place on the hero is defeated timeline.
Yeah,
the one that's the longest. The timeline that has the most games.
I think we just watched a video explaining that, and some of the support there was, or the proof I guess there was, or one of the most interesting things to me was we see like a language like on a certain tablet or whatever, foreign obviously to us, outside of game world, but and it resembles a combination of Hylian. Yeah.
This is insane, man. This is another issue with this game. I'm probably about to be eaten by an alligator.
It resembles, the language in this game that we see resembles a combination of Hylian and Gerudo.
Yes.
Mashed together, which would only make sense
when Ganondorf wins.
If Ganon is the ruler, Ganon being a Gerudo, the
Gerudo king.
He's the king because they can only have one male born every 100 years per the lore. He's the king of Gerudo. He's also now the king of Hyrule. So it would only make sense that over time,
he brings the Gerudos in.
Years, we have that language combination. Mm-hmm. I think they also mentioned.
I just want your car.
I'm trying to think of what else.
No! God, this game irritates me.
You want to change your score? No, I'm kidding. But yeah, that was just one of the interesting combinations there. But also, well,
shit.
I don't know actually. I don't know. The fact that he wakes up in the beginning, like he has a telepathic link apparently with
Zelda.
We're assuming it's Zelda. We don't know, but that's
it's a female voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely the Hylian goddess
or something. To that effect. And
so that's exactly how Link's Awake, or not. That's exactly how A Link to the Past started.
Right.
With the telepathic communication with Zelda. What turns out to be Zelda, because when you start that game, you don't know.
Right. Yeah.
Just like where we are right now.
But I mean, it's Zelda. You can.
It's definitely It's what other female voice are we concerned with?
Yoko Ono. Always be concerned about that voice because it's deadly.
So that's that's one like overlap, I guess. What else? Well, there are other things.
There were other things, minute details about placement in the world and architecture. And stuff,
that's
like hard
to
repeat.
where the game is taking place in Hyrule, relative to where the Temple of Time exists
and Castle,
and exactly in Hyrule Castle,
and the state of those actual buildings, like they're in decay and stuff.
Most importantly, though, and this was the thing that grabbed my attention, was the location of the Master Sword.
Yeah.
So the Master Sword is in the what just happened? Everything just went dark again. Dynamic lighting in this game on a roll. So when Breath of the Wild starts up, you acquire the Master Sword out in the forest. It's just in like some stone block or whatever, which is the same place that it's left at the end of which game?
I don't know. I haven't played Adventures of Link and stuff. I don't even know if he has the Master Sword.
No, the Adventures of... So the way that it works on the timeline is that Link is out adrift at sea at the end of Link's Awakening. He's just on a log drifting out at sea. And then you have The Legend of Zelda, like the NES game.
Yeah.
That's how they fall on the timeline. And so there's never been any confirmation that that's the same Link. So it could be the same Link, possibly. Somehow he gets rescued, but that's not covered, and the Historia doesn't say that.
Right.
The Historia doesn't tell you, oh, this is the same Link. He was rescued by a fishing boat. Nothing. There's nothing there. So the Breath of the Wild is most likely taking place in between those things or after the Adventures of Link. Which means, if it is after the Adventures of Link, that entire timeline is one Link. It's one Link who's defeated Ganon like 7 times throughout his life. Yeah. What a badass that dude is.
Right.
That is. It's probably going to end up being that it's 2 different Links, though. Legend of Zelda and Adventures of Link. Oh, well, it has to be.
Well, Legend of Zelda and Adventures is the same link there for sure, 100%.
Well, no, I don't know, because it says that that the Zelda in Adventures of Link is an ancestor of the Zelda in Legend of Zelda.
That one maybe.
Yeah, I don't think that's the same Link.
Because I know they're trying to resurrect Ganon, and they have his ashes from the first game, so they're trying to resurrect him, but they need Link's blood, and that's the whole
Which Zelda are you talking about?
Of the game. Adventures of Link. The whole premise is that the monsters are trying to get your blood. And so what's interesting is Ganon doesn't show up in that game at all unless you lose. So if you die, the game over screen is, hey, we resurrected Ganon, and here's
cool, man.
That's the only appearance he has in the game.
That's such a cool little thing that the trashiest Zelda ever has.
Yeah.
Were you about to say something?
It sounds like
it's
people
the
are
radio.
Screaming.
Oh, it's the radio.
God, I just hear
screaming,
blood-curdling screams.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so yeah, Breath of the Wild. It definitely looks like it's going to be taking place on the heroes defeated timeline.
Do you remember who that video is from? Maybe we could reference it.
It's like a YouTube channel. It's not a person. Nintendo Universe or something. I can look it up.
Yeah, you should probably do that so we can reference all that.
Yeah, I will. And all this is available at the Zelda wikis as well. That's probably where they got all this information. But
well, when he intros the video, he offers it as his theory. So I don't know.
Yeah, his theory, but the information is available for everyone to read. Is what I'm saying. Nintendo World Report.
I lost the trailer.
Nintendo World Report TV. Yeah, they have 24,000 subscribers on YouTube, and they do all kinds of Nintendo news.
I'm so used to playing Grand Theft Auto. Mud riding.
So that's that's definitely where the Linebird show. That's where our official stance is that we are saying that it's going to take place on the Fallen Hero timeline, and when the Hyrule Historia gets updated, which has been confirmed for 2017 release, they will definitely expound upon that and expound upon Link Between Worlds, and we'll get more lore basically. Which how exciting is that? Always exciting.
Wholly exciting. Fully.
Shout out to Fully. Yeah, it's a super exciting time to be a gamer. I mean, Breath of the Wild just looks awesome. Oh man. I watched a bunch of videos today on Breath of the Wild, and just seeing their explosion, what am I trying to say? The explosion animations is really nice, and it looks like it's going to be in 1080p. Hopefully it runs okay on the new NX. Hopefully that thing's worth buying. But it's just a great time to be a Zelda fan. It's a great time to be a gamer.
Here's what I want to see before I die. This is my bucket list, and only Nintendo can fulfill it. So I hope you guys are listening. I want there to be. I mean, we have 16 or 17 is the official number. Zelda games.
Yeah.
I think it warrants, and there's more on the way, obviously. I think it warrants its own Triforce-shaped console. That includes every game, no need for emulators.
No way.
It has every game pre-installed on the hard drive.
Here's one thing I need to know: is every game available on the Virtual Console?
What Virtual Console?
The Wii Virtual Console.
Oh, I don't know.
Well, I'm not saying.
Probably not.
I'm not asking. I'm just saying that's something we need to find out. Because if it is, then we have it already.
But it has to be. It has to be a Zelda console. It can't. No other games are playable on this console.
This is dumb.
Except maybe it's brilliant.
I hate this idea.
I would buy it and carry it around with me.
So what you're not saying, and this is what I thought you were going to talk about initially. What you're not saying is that there's a Zelda Edition NX that has the Triforce branded on it.
No, there will be a Zelda NX because they're stupid if they don't.
Yeah, that's definitely true. But what you're actually saying is that there needs to be a Zelda console.
A Zelda exclusive console, as in exclusively play Zelda exclusively.
You're making my brain ache right now.
I think there are Zelda fans everywhere
with this asinine idea.
Are just as asinine as I am.
My ass is a 9. That's what my wife tells me.
Oh God.
Well, this was the Linebird Show. We appreciate likes, comments, and subscribes. Also shares on Facebook because that's where we get all our views from. So do that thing. I was your host, Tyler
Asses9 Sawyer.
Gray Sawyer. And
I'm Steven.
So you're gonna do it this time?
I'm an whole other person. And whole other, one word.
A
Steven.
whole nother person.
Steven, one word person. Blank. What?
I don't know. But what I do know is that I'm really in the mood to play a Zelda game right
Where's
now.
the handbrake?
Circle.
I tried to do that earlier and I just they turned the lights on for
And
me.
there's this lady's getting in.
Is that Lincoln? We're open for you.
Yeah, so
Let me show you what happens.
we appreciate all your love. Good God, work on your aim, bro.
Call
Where's
police.
he going? Who is he looking at?
Oh shit. I have no gun weapons.